Hi, I'm in a bad mood today. I was just crying and I was like, I'm probably just gonna like go talk about this in a video. But I'm worried I'm just gonna start crying again. But yeah, I've never really told anybody this. Or like, sorry, or the extent of this anyway. I'm sure I've like mentioned it a few times to some people. Told some people some of the story. I feel like my hands are shaking. They are. Anyway, it's just like abandonment issues. It's not that serious. Like I did a video about getting sexually assaulted and it wasn't this hard to talk about. But like I have so much like shame around this because I just like we can get into it later, but like I just don't really have a lot of friends because like they kept moving basically, and then I just like got these abandonment issues, and now I just like, I don't know, I feel like if people find out that like I don't have as many friends as like I should have by now, they're gonna think there's something like wrong with me or something. So okay, also we're about to do the color change on this bad boy. It's gonna be so exciting. God, I just split my yarn. Okay, fuck. Okay, whatever. We gotta switch to the light blue. Anyway, so it all started. I'm basically just gonna go through like my entire life and like every friend I've had and like how they abandoned me. No, I'm kidding. They didn't all abandon me, but like just the fact that I've lost so many friends just makes me, because I was talking about this yesterday at the end of my video. I started talking about like how I've cut people off, and I'm like wondering like, is this me? Like, am I the problem, or like are the other people just like not treating me right? Like, am I anyway? So I was like, I think I'm right. That like people aren't treating me the way that I deserve to be treated, and like if someone's not treating me right, then like they shouldn't be in my life. Kind of like how I feel about it, but let's just go through it and see if anyone thinks I'm the problem. Anyway, fun stuff. No, so yeah, I got a book a few years ago called Love Me Don't Leave Me, something, and then there's like a second like subtitle, you know, don't remember what that is. And I would like journal about this, but yeah, I don't even think I told my therapist like the extent of this when I was seeing a therapist, and now I don't have money for a therapist. So I'm just gonna tell y'all and see what happens. Anyway, if I can get myself to start talking about it, because I'm like still like so embarrassed, you know what I mean? No, because I haven't started talking about it yet. Okay, so it all started let's just start by saying like my mom told me she didn't want to have kids when she had me. So I was in like my 20s or something. I was just sitting on the couch and she just walked up to me and was like, you know, when your father and I had you, I didn't really want to have more kids. And he did, and made me stop taking birth control. Like paraphrasing a little bit, but like something along those lines. So like my mommy didn't even want me. And like I came out with, like when I was born, I had bruises like all over my face. Like I feel like that's kind of, you know, symbolic of like, she was, you know, like my entire, like I was a little baby living inside her, a little fetus, let's say, because babies yeah, the whole abortion thing, let's just be clear with our words. I was a little, well, I think fetus is still younger, I don't know. No, I'm thinking of zygote. That's like the first, like, okay, so yeah, fetus. I was a little fetus living inside her belly, her uterus, and like all of my nutrients and stuff were coming from her, and like she didn't want me. She was like mentally rejecting me, and then like I feel like her body was trying to reject me too. And so I came out with bruises on my face. And then I have people like today telling me like, oh, your mom, she's your mom, of course she loves you. I'm like, no, like shut the you didn't have to live inside her while she was like physically like beating you up. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so yeah, then like I have a little sister, she's 2 years younger than me, and then my mom, like when I was the baby, she would still go to work, and like my aunt would take care of me. And she had a, like, my cousin, her daughter, was like 6 weeks older than me, so we're like very close in age. Like I've heard this, like twins will sometimes like have their own language when they're babies, and then they like usually grow out of it, but like apparently we had that, like me and my cousin and I. Anyway, and I think at one point I thought my aunt was my mom, because I remember sitting like in a restaurant and like sitting on her lap, and I think I called her mommy, and then somebody was like, that's not your mom, that's your mom, and they like pointed at, I was like, that's my mom? Ew, like, ugh. Anyway, it's like, so yeah. And then when my sister was born, my mom like stopped working, like stayed home, so it's like, okay, so she's more important than I am, obviously, you know what I mean? And then so when I started to go to like preschool, like kindergarten, I went to the school that was like near my dad's work, not the one that was near our house. So then I went to like pre-K and kindergarten there, and then when I started first grade, I moved, or like I transferred to like, because they didn't have like more grades at that school, it was like specifically like childcare, and yeah, pre-K and kindergarten. And then they would do like an after school thing, so like they would pick you up from the school, like this like really old lady that probably shouldn't have been driving. Anyway, it's fine, we made it safely every time. So but yeah, she would like pick us up from our school and like take us back, but like I still had to go like to the other school for first grade, but like a lot of the first graders that were there went to kindergarten at that school, so they were like already friends and stuff, they already knew each other. And also at that kindergarten, I was the only girl in my class, and my mom tells me that there was another girl for a little while, and then she like left because she didn't want to be one of only 2 girls, and then so she left me as the only girl. Like, awesome. I don't remember that, but I'm sure like if I felt any kind of connection to her and then she left, that would have felt like abandonment and like betrayal, like her leaving me with all the boys, you know what I mean? So like I'm sure that even though I don't remember it, it plays into the rest of it. So that's fun. And then yeah, so I started first grade. I remember like the first day, like I was sitting in the classroom, and like also my first grade class was a first grade second grade split, so the teacher was like, they would sometimes teach the second graders and the first graders would like focus on their like assignment, and then they'd go and teach the first graders, and the second graders would like quietly do their work. So there were 2 girls behind me who were already in the class. Last year they had her for first grade, and they had her again for second grade. And they were like, oh my god, like looking around the room, they're like, oh my god, that's still here, that's the same, oh my god. And I was like, okay, like first of all, like everybody knows each other already, and like this is all so new to me, and like these girls already know like each other, and they know everything about the classroom, and like they know the teacher, and like I was like, I felt so like overwhelmed. And also like I didn't know like how the recess, like the schedule worked, like so they let us out for a recess or lunch or whatever, and we were like playing on the playground, and like then the bell rang, but I didn't know that we were supposed to be listening for a bell, and like yeah, suddenly like I was playing at lunch, and then like I guess people started, like I didn't have any friends, I was probably just like going up and like down the slide or whatever, and like I was the only girl in my kindergarten class before, so like I didn't have friends then either, because like obviously I had cooties, so like I don't think I even like knew that like friendship was an option at this point. Like I didn't know I could just like talk to somebody in the class and like, hey, let's be friends or whatever. Like I don't think I knew what friendship was at all. And okay, so I wasn't like hanging out with other kids, I was just like playing by myself near them. And then like the bell rang, everybody else like went back to class, and I guess I just like was in my own little world. I didn't even notice, and like eventually a yard duty came up to me and they're like, hey, shouldn't you be in class? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, didn't you notice you're like the only one out here? I was like, what? Oh wow, okay. I just remembered I have a very specific memory from back to like, I'll say kindergarten, I think it might have been preschool, like but pre-K, But I have this memory of like being at that school by my dad's work, and like we went out to the like little courtyard for playtime, and I remember standing like talking to a tree. Maybe this is because I was the only girl and the boys didn't want to be my friend. And yeah, I was like standing and talking to a tree. Oh, my tissue's over here. I have a tissue prepared in case I start crying. But yeah, and I think the tree pointed out, like, you know, the other humans aren't talking to trees. Like, if you, and I looked around, there are like two adult women talking to each other, and like all the kids together over here, and I looked around and like no one else was talking to a tree. I was like, So it's like the second time I was just like so oblivious to like what was happening around me. Yeah, and then the yard duty was like, don't you know, like, you're the only one here? Okay. So like then I learned how like the school like schedule worked, and like recess and lunch and all that. So yeah, and then I think my dad had a friend, like there's a girl in my class who my dad said like, oh, I know her dad, like we're friends. And then so I thought like automatically that made us friends, and so like I considered her my best friend. But like she had a best friend in the class, and so like that was one of the like first days of second grade. I remember we had this little assignment for like the teacher to like get to know us, I guess. Like, so we just wrote like little fun facts about ourselves, and one of the questions was like, who's your best friend? And I remember she said the other girl's name and the other girl said her name, but I put the girl I thought was my friend. I've talked about her before. I'm just gonna say her name is Heather, and then because it comes up later because the movie Heather. I've talked about it in a video before too. But yeah, I just like, yeah, we'll get back to that. So like Heather and the other girl were like actually friends, and then I was like tagging along with them, and like I just thought that was like normal. And then one day in like I think 3rd or 4th grade, it was probably like the end of 3rd grade, yeah, I remember like being on the playground with them and like talking, and then like suddenly they were just like, why do you always follow us around, like, to me? And I was like, what what do you mean? Like, I thought we were friends. And like they'd invited me to their house for like sleepovers and stuff. Like, I don't know, I just was like, yeah, we're friends. And then like suddenly, why do you always follow us around? So I was like, oh, okay. And so that was after like maybe 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade being like friends with them. Definitely 2nd and 3rd. I kind of don't really remember 1st grade that much. But yeah, 2nd and 3rd grade, I would like spend a lot of time with them, and then they're like, why do you always follow us around? And so like after 2 years, which is like a long time to a 3rd grader, it's like my whole life, after all this time that we spent together, and then like just have them say that, it was like I didn't realize it at the time, but like looking back on it, like I think it instilled this fear in me that like everybody was lying to me about liking me. Like anybody could just be pretending that they didn't hate me just to be nice, and then like suddenly they could just be like, why are you following us around? So like I don't think I ever really felt secure in like a friendship, even like while I was in that. But yeah, so I stopped like following those girls around. And there was a school that opened up like when I was in 2nd grade. It was like near our school, and so like a lot of the people who were like going to my school like transferred to that school, and it was kind of like in the middle of the year. So there was one girl that I think she would hang out with us too, like before, like I don't really remember this because like what I remember about her was like the teacher said like she sat on the other side of the class, and I remember one day like the teacher said like, oh, this student is going to be transferring to the new school that just opened, and I remember being sad about it. So I think we were like friends, and like that would make sense because like then the 4 of us would hang out, and like I think I was closer to her, and I think the other girls liked her better, but like I was like a package deal with her, and then she transferred to the other school, and then like they just like still couldn't get rid of me. So anyway, yeah, so I do think that played into it too. Like the girl that I felt close to was like transferring to another school, so it was like, okay, cool. Second abandonment issue that I don't even really remember, but like, so then one girl who had transferred to that school like went there for like all of 3rd grade, and she didn't like it. So her parents let her, they like lied about her address, and they let her come back to our school until 6th grade. So and I knew her before because we went to like the same little it's not this, like I said, there's a daycare program at like where I went to kindergarten, and I did that like while my sister was still like going there for kindergarten, but then yeah, like once she started going to my school for 1st grade, then we would go to there was like a after school program on the school campus that we would go to. They called it the Y. I called it the YMCA because I thought it was, but apparently that's different. But yeah, so we would go there. So I knew her kind of from the after school program, and so like when she came back and I was like, I don't have any friends, and like she'd been gone for years, so like we kind of like, I guess naturally like found each other and started becoming friends. But I don't think she was a good friend, because I remember finding out like in 5th grade I was excited about like I was getting an iPod or something for my birthday, which didn't actually happen, but I remember being really excited about it and telling her like, oh, I have a secret, I'm gonna get an iPod for my birthday, and she was like she didn't care. And there's one year she threw, her birthday was 4 days before mine, it probably still is, so she threw her birthday party on my actual birthday because it was, mine was like the weekend, hers was like in the week. So like yeah, on my birthday I went to her birthday party, which is like, I mean that's just how parties work. Something like you can't just throw a birthday party on like a Thursday, it would have been like a Tuesday, I think, Wednesday, probably Wednesday. So yeah, I was like, it makes sense, but like yeah, I just don't feel like she was a very good friend. So but we would like, I didn't really have any other options, I guess. So we were friends till just the two of us probably for 4th grade, and then in 5th grade there was this new transfer student that started at our school, and we saw her like at brunch. So there's like it's called recess in middle school or in elementary school. So there's recess, and then like lunch is the second break. So we saw her at recess, sitting alone and like kind of wandering around, and so we went up to her and we were like, hey, do you want us to show you around, like, and introduce ourselves and stuff. And then so we were hanging out at like recess, and then we saw her later at lunch with these 2 other girls, and then so like the 5 of us kind of became friends. And then the girl who had transferred, that we were all showing around, she ended up like joining like the popular girls, which included Heather. So yeah, she started becoming friends with like Heather and like her friends and stuff. And so I was like, okay, never talking to her again. Just like, you know, join the dark side or whatever. But yeah, and there was one day I was telling one of the like the new, so there's like me and my friend, and then the 2 other girls I was showing around. I was telling one of them like I used to be friends with Heather, and I don't think she believed me, and she's like, really, like, and she dared me to go up and ask Heather if she remembered like when we used to be best friends, and I was like, yeah, like whatever. Like, so I did. She was like sitting by the slide and like talking to another girl, and I was like, hey, remember when we used to be friends? She's like, yeah. I was like, that's it, okay, bye. And she's like, okay. So I was like, okay, did your little bet. Like it literally like didn't mean anything. I was like, who cares? But like I guess I'm glad that she acknowledged like we used to be friends and I wasn't just following her around, but like whatever. So yeah, that girl didn't even believe that I could have been friends with Heather. Also I did get glasses in 2nd grade. I think that was another factor where like people started seeing me as like a nerd or whatever, maybe. So like they didn't want to be seen with me because I was like a dork. That's what I told myself, I guess. Like they just don't like me because I have glasses now. Anyway, yeah, so so there were like the 4 of us were friends after the one girl joined like Heather and her posse. It wasn't really a posse. But yeah, then in like 6th grade there was another new student, and also my friend that like we were the closest, she was in a different class than me. So like she had a different teacher. So I feel like that was obvious. I didn't need to explain that. Anyway, yeah, so she was in the other class, and so like I started making more friends in my own class. And yeah, like, but they weren't like super close friendships. They didn't last very long. But there was one girl who transferred. Oh my god, there's a little deer running through the yard. Cute. Anyway, yeah, there's another transfer student. I feel like I should just start using names. There's gonna be so many. So yeah, so she joined us, and like the one girl told me like she wore the same cardigan like 4 days in a row. And then like there was a stain. She's like, the girl asked her about it, and the transfer student, she's like, she lied and said she just had 4 of the same cardigan. Whatever. And that's like, I'm just gonna call her cardigan girl, I guess. No. So she joined our class, and then like she was a new student, so like everyone was like interested in like going up and talking to her, and like we kind of like all became friends, and a lot of us joined band. So this was like 6th grade, and then my elementary school went to 6th grade, and then middle school was 7 and 8. So then we went from 6 to 7. A lot of us joined band together. So like the friends that I had like that weren't in band kind of like fell away over time, because like the band friendships became like stronger. But then that girl, she transferred in like 9th grade, so like we went to middle school together. We became like closer, and yeah, I was kind of like already like bouncing around from friend group to friend group at this point, like feeling like I didn't belong anywhere, like not really feeling like I fit in. Like there were so from elementary school, there's me and the girl that I was friends with, and then the 2 other girls showing the one girl around. The girl I was friends with, like I said, she was lying about her address. She wasn't supposed to be going to our school. So when we went to middle school, she like I was gonna also add, like, first of all, when we were in 6th grade, she had a different teacher, so there's like separation there. And then 7th grade, she went to a different school, so it was like even more. And then the other girl, one of the 2 girls was she also moved during the time we were in 6th grade, and her parents let her finish out the year at our school, and then they're like, you're gonna have to go to like the other school for the next year. So like we started 7th grade, she was gone, so it was like me and like one other girl. We weren't that close, and there was another girl in like our 6th grade class. They were both like emo, and I was not. I've never caught I couldn't even like prick my finger for like the blood test in, was it anatomy class? Yeah, I couldn't I couldn't do it, so I didn't fit in with them. But that was like my default friend, because it was like she was the one person from my friend group that like went to that school. And then like and then she had like her other emo friend, and so like the 3 of us would hang out. But like I didn't really fit in with them. I made a friend, and like the way my middle school worked, I don't know if other middle schools do this, but we had teams. So like there were 4 teams for like the 7th graders, 4 teams for the 8th graders, and like there's 4 teachers. There's like 1 math teacher, 1 English teacher, 1 science teacher, 1 history teacher for each team. So like you get assigned a team, and then like all of the other students on your team are gonna have the same teachers as you. And so like basically the people who aren't on your team, like you can see them at lunch. They call it brunch instead of recess now. You can see them at brunch and lunch, but you don't have any of the same teachers and none of the same classmates, so there's like nothing to talk about. So the girl, okay, so the emo girl and I didn't have anything in common. Then the other girl who went to the other school, they actually moved back, so she started at our school again, but she was on another team. So like she came back, and I was like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna like be friends again. And then yeah, she just like was on another team. She had made friends on her team like really quickly, and I like was hanging out with them, and I just like was like, I don't know anything you guys are talking about, because we don't have the same teachers, or like I don't know any of the students in your class. So that didn't really work out. So I made friends in my own that were in band and my team. So there were basically these 2 girls, but their names started with A. And then one of them started dating a boy whose name also started with A. And so like they started, is another like split. Like the girl who was dating the guy would start getting jealous, like if he, like we were all friends, and like we got pretty close, and like we would talk a lot, but there's nothing, like I was not interested in him romantically at all, but she would get jealous. I think more so the other girl whose name started with an A, because yeah, they were fighting more with each other, and I was just kind of like a part, like a lot of the fighting took place on MySpace, or like it was about MySpace, and I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace at the time. And I was still listening to my mom about that rule at that point. I think after that I felt like I needed, like, our friendship kind of like dissolved, and so like none, like they broke up, and then like the girl, like we were yeah, so like the girl who was dating the guy kind of like stopped talking to us, and so like the two of us were like kind of by default like on our own, and then like we started hanging out with more of the other band kids instead of just like the 3 and then 4 of us. It was like we joined like the bigger group, so it was like the 2 of us joined into that, and then the girl that I joined with, she moved like literally like a week before we started high school. But like she wouldn't have been in any of my classes anyway. But yeah, she, like one of her parents got a job in another state, so she moved. So then I was like in this new group, but like I wasn't really close to anybody. And yeah, like this kept happening. And then so there's still the cardigan girl. We were in band together, and like I would hang out with her, and then she had like these other like friends from band, and like they were pretty funny, and like we spent time together. And then the girl, like I said, cardigan girl, moved in 9th grade, so like I had kind of joined like her group of friends that were like also in band, and then I had like the like big band group that was like most, and then there was like this like smaller one, and I was kind of like on the outside of like both of them, I guess, like trying to get my way in. But like yeah, I felt like if there was like a big party, I'd be invited, but if it was like just like a small little like, oh, we're just going to the movies, like that kind of thing, I just wouldn't get invited to things like that. But if it's like a big like graduation party, probably I'll get an invite. But yeah, like I'm not invited to these people's weddings now that like people are, you know, well actually there was like one girl in our like, well I would have considered her a friend, I guess, but I don't think she would have considered me a friend. She probably thought I was just following them around. But yeah, one of them got married like right out of high school, I think, like really young, and I was not invited to that. I didn't even know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just like, okay, so we're in high school, cardigan girl moves, and I'm kind of like on the outskirts of like all these groups. And then yeah, there was the girl that I talked about in 2nd grade that like transferred to the other school, that like stood up in class and the teacher announced that she was moving. I felt sad. She was actually not in band, but she was friends with a lot of the band people, like cardigan girl and like those people. Yeah, they all went to that. How did she went to my elementary school, but she was in the like the other elementary school's like friend group somehow, I don't know. Yeah, so I kind of like, those groups kind of like merged together, but then that one girl moved, so they kind of like fell apart. And yeah, I just like, there was like the one like small band group that like they would hang out like together in during band, and then like some people would hang out in the band room and stuff for brunch and lunch, but they would go like hang out with their other friends, and then that's when I would like kind of follow them. And like my friend from 2nd grade was with them too. I didn't remember her actually. She remembered me, but I like, yeah, I guess I just like gone through so many like friends and just like forgotten. Oh, I skipped 5th grade. But I've told this story on this channel before because this was actually my first kiss. There was a girl that I was friends with in 5th grade specifically, like no other year. And I remember we would walk around campus like holding hands, and like, cause we were just so close. And one day she was like, I think it's so cool that you don't think it's weird that we're holding hands. And I was like, why would it be weird? And she's like, because we're both girls or whatever. I was like, who cares? And she's like, do you think it'd be weird if we kissed? And then so we kissed. And then yeah, she ended up moving also at the end of 5th grade. Not like the end where like the year was over, like it was like maybe a month before or something. So it was like the year was still going, so I wrote down my phone number and like gave it to her on a piece of paper. And I remember I think I gave it to her and she like kind of started to like cry. And I think like maybe she told her parents about the kiss or something, and then they like were homophobic and like wanted to get her away from me or something. So I'm like, I don't know, like I didn't know anything at that time. Also, like when I was in 5th grade, nobody knew what gay meant, because I've told this story before too, but like at some point in like 2nd grade or something, one of the kids on the playground was telling everybody that gay means you like boys and lesbian means you like girls. So if you're a girl and you like boys, that means you're gay. If you're a boy and you like girls, you're a lesbian. So nobody knew what those words meant. So like we were walking around holding hands, and like it doesn't matter because like I can't be a lesbian because only boys are lesbian. Like it's so stupid. Like the fact that we don't even like learn the basic like what those words mean. Like we're not allowed to like learn like sex ed, and it's, oh my god, it's so annoying. Like imagine how different my life could have been if I just like knew. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. This is about abandonment issues. So okay, back at it again. Where was I? Okay, I was in like high school, but then I skipped back to 5th grade. So okay, I'm gonna skip back to high school again. At one point in 11th grade, the girl who left in 2nd grade and then came back, she also became friends with the girl who left in 6th grade and came back. And they're like probably still friends, and neither of them talk to me, so I don't know why. Well, I know why one of them. Anyway, we'll get to that later. So yeah, back in high school, okay, so in 11th grade, I remember we were like starting to think about college and stuff, and one of the girl who left in 2nd grade, who probably like gave me abandonment issues, honestly, like not gave them to me, but like that was definitely like one of the first, like it's the first one I remember of like hearing someone was gonna leave and being sad about it, but like I guess it had already happened like 2 other times that I don't remember. So no, that was okay, anyway, contradicting myself here. Anyway, back to 11th grade. So we were talking about college, and she made a joke, and I think it was like obvious to everybody that it was a joke, but like it really triggered me, I guess. She was like, oh yeah, once we go to college, I'm probably never talking to any of you again. But like she'd already like left me, so like I was like, okay, you don't need to tell me twice, you know what I mean? I kind of like distanced myself from like that whole friend group like immediately there, because I was like, I mean, she's right, like as soon as we graduate, like we're probably not gonna be friends anymore, which like maybe if I hadn't taken it so seriously, like most of the people in that friend group to my knowledge are still friends, and like they all stayed like pretty close to home. They went to schools like nearby each other, except like me and the girl from 2nd grade also went to NorCal, like Northern California. Everyone else stayed in Southern California. But like she still stayed close with them, and like I like didn't somehow, like I don't know how that happened, like, yeah. So she made that joke, and I took it seriously, and then I ended up being the one who like never talked to them again, like pretty much, not immediately, but like after like our sophomore, like junior year, like yeah, we don't hang out anymore. They didn't, like after we graduated college and like all moved back, kind of, it like started picking up again, and then they moved out to like we were in the suburbs, and they moved out to like the city, and so like I kind of like stopped seeing them again, and now like I don't get responses when I text them. Like I'll text them happy birthday or whatever, and like I just don't hear back, and I'm like, okay, cool, so like that's not really going well. And so, okay, let's go to college. I feel like I'm probably skipping some stuff here anyway. Actually, I'm not really, so let's go to senior year, because, so I had like the, 2 different band groups that I was kind of like mingling, like on the outskirts of, and there was like, okay, so by the time you're a senior at my school, you can leave at lunch, or like, I think only seniors can leave at lunch. Maybe 11th graders, I don't remember. But like a lot of seniors didn't have like the last 2 periods of the day, so they could like go out to lunch, and then like just like some people could go out to lunch and then come back for the rest of their classes, like but some people would just leave at lunch because they didn't have any more classes. But I did have more. I was like, I told this story yesterday, but like my counselor was really bad, and so like my schedule was just really messed up the whole time. And so like by senior year I was like making up electives that I should have had out of the way like way sooner. So like yeah, and then I was also in theater for the second semester, so like that's after school. So like I had like I think I had an open 7th period actually, and then 7th was the last one, and then there was like theater class started, so like I would stay for lunch and then my class and then the like open class and theater. So I was like, yeah, everyone else basically was like leaving at lunch, and I was like one of like 2 or 3 people that like didn't. So like a lot of friendships were like probably forged on off-campus lunch, during off-campus lunch, and I missed out on that. And like yeah, I feel like by the time I was a senior I was hanging out with like a different friend group at every point of the day, because like before school started I'd be like at the band room, because like you have to bring your instrument in, you're supposed to take it home, practice, bring it back to school like every day. So like you gotta like at the end of the day everybody goes to the band room, and then at the beginning of the next day everybody like goes to the band room. So I was like at the band room already. I'd hang out with like I was a senior, but I'd hang out with like the little freshies the little babies like for the morning, and then like brunch would happen and I'd hang out with like the small band group people, and then like lunch would happen, they would leave, and I'd hang out with like the one other person who like didn't have, I think she actually could have gone off campus but like didn't because I couldn't go, which is like really nice. We became pretty close that year, and then like we kind of stopped talking after, just because like we went to different schools and stuff, and like life, you know. But like yeah, that was nice of her. I'll say that. Anyway, yeah, so we would hang out like mostly like we'd sit in the library a lot of the time, and then there's like a third girl who would hang out with us some of the time, and then for like my open 7th period there was like another person who like had open 7th and was staying for theater, so like we'd hang out. But like I didn't have like one friend that I was like consistently talking throughout the day. Like I feel like most people had like they're like, oh, they have like their best friend and they see them like, they're like, we're gonna meet here before school, here at brunch, here at lunch, here at after school. And I was like just floating between everything, like not really attached already. And then like college happened, and then like a lot of the friendships like that we're still kind of like clinging on because we were seeing each other every day like disappeared basically. Like okay, so then college, there was one girl who oh my god, why does this happen so much? So she was one of the band kids that I started hanging out like in 8th grade. So there were like the 3 A's, like the 2 that were dating and the 1 other, and then like so then we joined the bigger group, and then the one girl left. So part of that group, like I feel like the most popular person in that group, like we kind of started becoming friends. Like she invited me to her birthday party, even though like she didn't know me, and like other people had like vouched for me, I guess, and so she invited me. And then I called her the wrong name, like at her, I was like, oh, Caitlin over here, and her name's not Caitlin. And I was like, oh my god, I called her the wrong name at her own party, but like she invited someone she didn't know, so like what do you expect? But yeah, we kind of became close. She's a Gemini sun and I'm a Gemini moon. So yeah, and like she also, like looking back, like when I was talking about the girl in like 4th and 5th grade, like she wasn't a very good friend. Like I feel like the same about this girl. Like there was her dad was like taking her on a trip to Las Vegas, like her and her whole family, and he said that she could invite a friend, and I watched her like invite like 3 or 4 other people like in front of me, and then when all their parents said no, then she invited me. It was just like very like last choice, you know what I mean? Like I feel like she didn't want to go with me, and I was just like the only one whose like parents didn't love them enough because my mom didn't want me anyway, so like she didn't care if I went to Vegas and like whatever. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. She was just being a nice mother, but like she gave me $300 to give to my friend's dad, to like pay for the trip, but he's like super rich, and he was like, oh, I don't want, I think I gave it to him and then he like snuck it back in my bag or something. Yeah, like he wouldn't accept it, and then my mom found it in my bag, and then she like got so mad at me, and I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, like I feel like her intentions weren't as pure as I was just saying they could have been. Anyway, so yeah, we weren't like great friends, but she was kind of like the only person who would like invite me to things, I guess. And so like yeah, we were like friends by default, I guess, and we carpooled together, so like we saw each other a lot. But yeah, I don't think she was like very nice. And then she went for 12th grade, she went to a different high school because they had like this one specific class that she thought would like help her get into like a specific like med school program, like pre-med program. So like we were kind of friends, but then like she left for a year, and then when it came time to decide colleges, there was this one of the guys in the like small band group that I was talking about. He's the one that I've talked about on this channel before. I thought we were soulmates because like both of my parents are alcoholics, and he was very adamant about never like drinking or doing drugs or even swearing, and I was just like, oh my god, he's the one, you know what I mean? Like I just vouch myself, like as a child, like listening to my parents, like they'd get drunk, they'd scream at each other, I'd hear my dad like puking in the morning, like because he's hungover, like that's how I'd wake up to the I was like, I'm never gonna marry somebody who like drinks. It should have said an alcoholic, but like I didn't know there was a difference between like I thought alcohol was just like so inherently addictive that like once you took a sip, like every single person would just like become addicted forever. Like so yeah, I was just like, I'm never gonna marry anyone who drinks. And then he was like, I'm never gonna drink, and I'm like, oh my god, we're soulmates. But like he's gay, so that didn't work out. But like I didn't know that at the time, and also I'm gay and I didn't know that at the time. But like yeah, I was like I had this like intense like compulsory heterosexuality crush on him, compet crush, as the girls call it. Anyway, yeah, I thought we were supposed to be together, and then like at some point I realized like it was never gonna happen, and I was like, I had the option of going to the same college as him or the same college as the girl who like went to another school for a year. And I was like, if I go to the same college as this guy that like I have secret feelings for, who like doesn't like me back, like it's gonna be miserable. Like I'm never gonna enjoy myself. And so I was like, I can't go to this school. And also I had more financial aid at the other school that the other girl was going to. So like, well, not other girl, because the other person I was talking about was a boy. So that the girl was going to. So I ended up going to that college with her. And we ended up being roommates, even though, so like before we went to the, like we were registering and stuff, and there's this, like thing you could fill out if you had like, well, I think everybody filled it out if you were gonna live in the dorms, like a little survey just like about your habits or whatever, like what kind of living environment you would want, and then they would like match you with a roommate based on that. And for my, like the girl that like I went to school with, like she was texting me about it. She's like, oh, you can put like someone's name if you want, you should put my name. And so I did, and then she said she would put my name on hers, and like it didn't, like she ended up messing it up somehow, and she texted me like, oh hey, I messed up, can you redo it, like put my name again or something, like I forget why. Like we both had to do it, and like part of me was like, don't do it, don't like just let yourself have another roommate. But like I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. So we ended up being roommates, and then there was a guy that I met in my engineering class that like we kind of became friends, and then they were also in like jazz band together, and so they started like dating, and I woke up one morning to them having sex, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I pretended that I was still asleep, and then they like finished, and I waited like a couple minutes and then pretended to like just be waking up, like, but like I was so mad. I didn't talk to her for like a week or something, and then like she kept asking me like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, whatever. And like one day as she was about to leave, she's like, are you sure, and she kept asking like, are you sure? I was like, no, okay, so you broke me down. Like, I'm obviously not ready to talk about it, but like, she wore me down. I was like, yeah, I woke up to you and what's his name having sex the other day. And she just went like, oh, it won't happen again. And like, didn't say sorry, didn't say like, whatever. I don't know what else you would even say in that situation, but like, yeah, I was just like really mad about it. And I told myself like, eventually after thinking about it, I was like, I was still a virgin at this point. And I told myself like, you know what, maybe it's just like true love. Maybe they were just like so in love that they couldn't like manage to keep their hands off each other. And I guess I could forgive her if they like end up getting married or something. Like I could be okay with that. And then like we were having like brunch with our like her other friends from her school that she went to for 12th grade. The four of us would hang out in college, and I also like hated one of them for sure. Like this is the worst. Anyway, so like the four of us were having brunch together though. Like we went out to breakfast for some reason. Like not during, like when we were back home for some reason, like during the summer. So we were like not living together at the time, but like, yeah. And I was kind of like pissed off about it, but still hadn't like said anything. And then the girl was telling us that like her and the guy stopped seeing each other because they didn't actually really have anything in common. They just liked one of the same bands, and then they went to a concert of theirs together, and then they're like, now we have nothing else to talk about. And so I'm like, so you ruined our friendship for some guy you have nothing in common with, okay? And like that was the last straw for me, for her. But like we'd already signed a lease to live together again, so I thought it was like best to just like keep that to myself and just like secretly hate her and like decide to move out the next year on my own. And then like somehow like, yeah, we threw a party, and like I invited this one girl from my class, and I actually invited a lot of people and nobody showed up except for her. But she like, yeah, she was having roommate problems, and I was like, I don't want to live with my roommate again next year. And she's like, we should be roommates. And then somehow we agreed to like be roommates and live with her. Like the other girl would get her own room. She was like super rich or whatever, she can afford it. And like me and this other girl like would share rooms. We're like a little poorer, not a little, we're way poorer. Also the rich girl, there was one point when we were roommates, after I'd already woken up to her having sex and like didn't like her, like, but like I was keeping it to myself, right? So like pretending that like everything was fine. There was one time she was like, do you want to go out to eat? Like, let's go to dinner. And I had $3 in my bank account. And so I was like, no, I can't. I have $3 in my bank account. And you know what she told me? She told me, we can get something that's $6 and you can pay me back. I have $3. You can't even buy me fucking dinner. I hate this bitch. Anyway. Yeah, like her dad is so fucking rich. It's ridiculous. And she can't give me one fucking meal. Anyway, we can get something for $6. And we went to like a Chinese restaurant, and they had like a little appetizer that was $6, and we split it, and yeah, it was awful. And then I got a job after that, and luckily like was able to like, it was at a little food court place, and so I was getting free food and then like also getting money. So I like luckily was not in that situation again, but like I couldn't believe, I was like, you fucking, how dare you, rich people are the worst. I think about that every time I see people talking about like, oh, poor people will like send the same $20 back and forth, and rich people will like, or a lot of people send the same 20. That's a different thing. That's like not even relevant to what I'm talking about. Okay, back to the abandonment issues. So yeah, like me and this girl, we're gonna be roommates and live with my ex-roommate who like I couldn't stand. And then like I realized like, okay, then like there was also another guy that like the rich girl was like friends with, and he was a gay guy, and like I kind of felt like, oh, like at least I'll have like, because I think I identified as asexual at the time, but like I was pretty sure I was not straight. But like anyway, I was like, okay, yeah, like I would like to live with a gay person. And then like so I was kind of excited about it, even though like the one girl was gonna be there, but I was like, I'll have 2 other people. But then the one girl started, like, as soon as we signed the lease, like, immediately started, like, annoying the shit out of me. Like, she started talking about, actually, like, some of the signs were there before, but, like, I kind of dismissed them. Like, there was one time she was going through her Facebook pictures and showing us, like, this is, like, good Sarah, bad Sarah, good Sarah, bad Sarah, and she was just showing us, like, her weight loss, and, like, I was like, that's kind of fucked up, but I mean, that's, like, her own body, I guess. Like, she shouldn't be, that's really fat phobic, but, like, I'm not gonna, you know, like, I didn't deal with that, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty skinny. I think I've always been pretty skinny, even though, like, we have these, like, unrealistic beauty standards of what, like, women are supposed to look like, and it's, like, way skinnier than, like, a normal woman look. So, like, I feel like I probably thought I was fatter than I was. Like, I probably had, like, some sort of, like, body dysmorphia. Anyway, like, I did think I was fat, but, like, looking back at pictures, I'm like, oh my god, like, that's nothing. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, I've never, like, been through that, so, like, I'm not gonna, like, judge her, even, like, I do feel like it's a weird thing to say. But then, like, yeah, we went out to eat, and she was eating so slow. We were there for, like, 45 minutes just sitting there waiting for her to finish eating, and, like, she was, like, talking to her boyfriend on Skype all the time. They were, like, long distance. He was in, I think, like, Australia, and we're in California, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be Skyping with him all the time. He's gonna come visit us for, like, 3 weeks. Is that okay? And, like, I just had my roommate, like, have sex, like, while I was sleeping. I was like, that's absolutely not okay with me. And, like, all this stuff just, like, started. So I was like, I cannot live with them. So I found another place to live, luckily. And they found it. They're like, you need to find us another roommate. And I was, like, trying to find them a roommate, and they weren't happy with, like, any of my choices. And I'm like, why don't you find your own fucking roommate then? Like, and they ended up doing it. So I was like, okay, great. So that was fine. But yeah, so, like, those friendships that I didn't even like these people. Like, I remember every time, like, the 4 of us, like, me, the rich girl, and, like, her 2 friends from the other school, like, we would be walking around, like, campus or, like, downtown, and I was just like, I fucking hate my life. Like, they're, like, laughing about something that, like, I'm like, you guys are fucking, like, this one guy's, like, racist, sexist, homophobic, like, everything he says just, like, pisses me off. I'm just like, why don't I have any other friends that I could, like, hang out with? Because I agreed to that stupid roommate thing. Like, I bet if I just did it and, like, let them, like, match me with a roommate, it would have been, like, a way better match for me. And, like, this girl and I could still be friends, like, blah blah blah. Anyway, so, like, we weren't friends anymore, and I was losing touch with, like, most of my friends from high school that, like, I didn't even really consider, like, that close. I would stay up and, like, worry about this. I was like, I had really bad insomnia, and I would just, like, stay up thinking about, like, all of these people, and, like, this is just college, and then there's, like, other, like, jobs that I've had that, like, I thought I made really close connections with people, and, like, don't hear from them again. Like, it's just the same thing over and over. And so, yeah, I would, like, stay up, like, thinking about this. I'm like, why don't I, like, it seems like everybody else has, like, a best friend. Like, I don't have a best friend, and, like, it seems like everybody likes somebody else more than me. And, like, specifically this one, like, rich girl, like, I would see this image of, like, us sitting, like, we were in our school's, like, basketball court or gymnasium. I don't know what they call it. I think it's gymnasium. So we were in this, like, huge room, and there were 2 tables, and she was at one and I was at the other, just sitting at a chair with the table, and there were lines. There was a line of people, like, waiting to talk to her, and my table was empty. Like, I would just see that, like, I was like, everybody likes her more than me. And also, like, she would get asked out all the time. She had, like, a bunch of boyfriends, and, like, nobody asked me. I had one guy ask me out in high school, and it was, like, because of her. Like, and I didn't like him, and he asked me out in front of a bunch of people. He was duct taped to a chair. I've told that story on here before. And I just felt like I had to say yes because he was duct taped to a chair, and there were people watching, and it was not good. And I just, yeah, it just feels like why does everyone like her more than me? Like, she's always, like, when we would hang out, like, she would be getting texts, like, constantly. My phone was so dry. It's still like when I'm, like, with my dad, like, his phone's, like, constantly going off, and I'm just like, I haven't gotten a text message in, like, 2 months, like, besides from, like, spam, like, texts, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, spam texts, like marketing texts, that kind of stuff. I'm just like, nobody like cares about me, nobody like cares that I'm alive. And I've had this kind of like thought too before, like if I died, like nobody would care. And then I remember when I was working in college, I was like, okay, if I if I died, nobody would care except for my boss, because then he'd have to find somebody else to cover my shifts. That was the only reason I could think of, like, that anybody would care if I like suddenly just like didn't exist anymore. Like, I don't feel like anybody likes me. I don't feel like anybody wants to hang out with me. I don't feel like anybody wants to date me. I feel like people want to fuck me, but nobody wants to do anything else. Nobody wants to even kiss me. They just want to fuck. Like, it's so sad. And like now, like my dad and I just moved like halfway across the fucking country, and I don't know anybody here, and like I don't know how to make friends. And then I go to stupid trivia trying to like do something, be social, and then they have a stupid Lord of the Rings, oh my god, Lord of the Rings fucking category, and then it just reminds me of this girl that I don't talk to anymore. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, I've never told anybody all of this, and it just like, just the thought of it is like, well, it brought me to tears this morning, and then I cried about it, and then I like was able to kind of get through most of this without getting emotional, but now it's like coming out. But yeah, it's just like, I feel so like tired of trying to be honest. Like, I don't see a future where like I have friends or like a partner. Like, I live with my dad and 2 cats, and that's like the only interactions I have throughout the day. And like, it's kind of driving me nuts, because like I need more than just my dad, because like I try to like explain to him like my worldview. Let's say like everyone's worldview is valid, and I'm like talking about like there's a genocide in Palestine, and I'm like crying about it all the time, and he's like there's been war over there for forever, you can't get upset about it. I'm like, that's propaganda, you can't, like, I know that you think that, but that's not true. Like, and then I tell him what the actual truth is. Israel was it's a settler colonial project created in like the 1890s. Like, it's not thousands of years old. It's stolen land. It's an apartheid state. Like, everything you're saying, like, I know why you're saying what you're saying, but you're wrong. And like, he just like doesn't, like, every time I cry about it, he's like, come on, they've been fighting for a century, for millennia. And I'm like, did you not listen to me the last time I fucking cried about this and explained to you that that's not true? Like, I can't. And then he's like one time I was crying, and he's like, you should, like, I know you had a tough childhood, like, because he, like, both my parents are alcoholics. He's in AA now and stuff. So like, I was crying because like, I know you had a tough childhood, but you should like try to be grateful or whatever. And I was like, how fucking dare you like tell me that I should be grateful for like the fucked up childhood you gave me? Like, you shouldn't have even had kids with someone who didn't want to have kids. Like, why am I even alive? Do you know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't even be here. And like, my mom didn't want me, and like, that's like, as a feminist, you know, like, I don't know if I would identify necessarily with the word feminist anymore, just because like, I feel like it's so associated with white feminism, and like bringing women up to the status of like white men, like bringing specifically white women up to the status of white men, so that like white women can be CEOs and like oppress other people and like steal their money. So like, I don't know, I identify as like an I want to say abolitionist, but that's not the word. Anarchist. I identify as an anarchist. I guess abolitionist, because I believe in like abolishing the police, not defunding, abolishing. I've seen a lot of people on Blue Sky talking about defunding the police, and I'm like, no, it's abolish. Abolish the police, abolish ICE, abolish. I think we need to abolish money, abolish countries, abolish borders, everything. So like, abolition and anarchy are kind of like similar, I think, and they both start with A. I have this thing, like, I've noticed it a lot, like, at some point as a kid, I decided to like categorize all my memories and like information in my brain just by the first letter. And so like oftentimes I'll be like, what's that thing? It starts with A. And I'm like, abolition. And it's like, no, close. It's like the other one that starts with A. It's like there's more than one and two things that start with A. So then I'm like, the other one, anarchy. So like I mixed up. I was in Dallas, Texas, like visiting family, and I called it Denver because I'm like, it's a city in another state, not California. California is the only state that matters because I'm Californian. It's another state that starts with D. Dallas, Denver, same difference. I don't care. And like one time my coworker came in with a bandana on and I went, nice beanie. And he's like, nope, like it just happens all the time. Yeah, that's not about abandonment issues. Kind of going off topic here. So I feel like I've kind of run out of like stuff to talk about. But I've just been like really sad about that since like, and like astrologically, Jupiter just moved into Cancer, and then more recently, Uranus went into Gemini. And I think like that might have been around the time, I think it was the day that I went to the trivia, and it was the Lord of the Rings trivia, which like if you don't know what I'm talking about with that, it was my video yesterday, like how Lord of the Rings trivia literally broke me. No, it's a little dramatic title, but still. Yeah, I've just been like really sad about it, and I'm like, Uranus just went into Gemini, and I have Gemini as my 5th house, and I have my moon at 2 degrees of Gemini, so Uranus is like right about to hit my moon already. And then Jupiter just went into Cancer, and I have Mars in Cancer. Mars is in fallen Cancer, but Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, so I'm like, how's this gonna play out? Like Jupiter expands everything it touches, and then Mars is like the worst planet in my chart, but Jupiter's exalted in Cancer, but Mars is in fall, so I'm like, is Jupiter gonna like make it worse, or is it gonna like mitigate the negative effects of Mars in Cancer? And so far, I think my cat has just been like pissing me off. He's not letting me sleep. He wakes me up at like midnight. So okay, we had 2 cats, and then one of them died while we were like in Europe, which sucked. I came back, I was like so looking forward to like coming back and seeing my cats like the whole time we were there. And then we got back, and my uncle, we were like, oh, can't wait to see the cats. And he's like, well, cat, and like told us one of them got hit by a car while we were gone. Fucking hate him. Anyway, it's not his fault, but like I still hate him. I hated him before that. But yeah, so like one of my cats died, and then we like moved halfway across the country, and like my dad was like, we should get another cat to like be his little buddy. So we got another cat. The first cat, like he grew up with his brother, and they like had each other all the time, even if my dad and I were both gone, like they had each other. And then like this new cat, like he's a little kitten, and the other one's older, and the other one like keeps hissing at him and like blah blah blah. So like he's kind of alone. And like the other one didn't really like I was working on a TV show when we got them, so like I wasn't like home most of the time, so like they kind of like learned to get by like without us, and like they don't bug us about like feeding them at a certain time. But the new one that we got, he wakes me up at like it was like 5 a.m. and then it started becoming like 4 a.m. Like to eat breakfast, and like that's kind of like annoying already, but like I've seen a lot of other cat owners complain about that, so I'm like, okay, fine, that's tolerable. I can just get up, feed him, and come back to sleep. And then yeah, we feed him like 4 times a day, but like then it's like it's getting earlier and earlier, so like I would wake up at like 3 in the morning, he's trying to get me to get him food, and I would like go and like be sobbing, like walking out there just like, I don't want to fucking live like this, like I don't like this. So I'm like, how can I stop this? So I started feeding him like right before I went to bed, like pushing one of the like other meals a little later. I think I might have just added one, I don't know. But I started feeding him like before I went to bed. And then like I started like